Our February betting lessons, Kate. What did you learn this month? Regardless of whether, what sport, was it a kind of bet? Was it someone or some team to stay away from? What did you learn in the month of February?
A couple different things, Chris. One, less is sometimes more. My
Hmm.
volume of bets has been fewer this month after the football season ended, after the Super Bowl, because of course we all go nuts over the Super Bowl. So I
Sure.
kind of eased back into like getting into college basketball and just dipping my toe in the water with college basketball to start the month. Being I hadn't paid nearly enough attention to it during the NFL season. Also like the lines, especially like in college basketball specifically, kind of tell you where to bet. And we'll go back to Green Bay last night. I mean, we had to fade Doug Gottlieb because it's Doug Gottlieb, and like that's just the bit. But
Yeah.
in reality, like in hindsight, Green Bay's been awful all season. How many times have they been a favorite this season? Not often. Green Bay's a favorite, a 2.5 point, 3.5 point favorite. That kind of tells you that like, okay, something, they know something, that Green Bay should be winning this game. Similar to like ranked teams going on the road, playing unranked home teams, and that home team is favored. A lot of time that's a spot that you want to bet into. I love the first quarter bets. I've been working those hard. Team totals hard. The one team that I stay away from, at least stay away from in the sense of backing them, is the Phoenix Suns. They can't cover a spread to save their life. So
Yeah.
I guess the opposite of that is just their team to bet against every night. So one team in the NBA, a couple takeaways from college.
I like that. I learned this for a second year in a row. And this is multiple years now where you talk about the sort of emerging from the football cocoon to discover that
Mm-hmm.
other sports exist after the Super Bowl. Similarly, like you, I took the time in January and February while placing just a few bets on NFL playoffs and the Super Bowl to take that step back. And this is a lesson I think we could all learn. At least from me, it works. Um, don't go too hard in the first few weeks or months, depending on what sport we're talking about, of a season. I've learned that the hard way a couple years ago in football, where in the NFL, especially, let that first month play out. Find out what you have in certain teams. Find out, really dial in on the differences between, okay, this is this year's team, and this is what you remember from last year and what
Yeah.
you wasted September betting on. College football, I think, actually takes a little bit less of a learning curve, which sounds crazy, given the roster turnover is more massive. But I think, college football, once you get into the first week or two of the conference season, you have an idea of what each team is, in my opinion. NFL, I got to get into October. Like, I got to get to like week 5 before I feel really confident in a lot of bets. Same thing happened this year with college hoops and the NBA. Emerging from that NFL cocoon in mid February to take a look at where teams sat, how the numbers had adjusted over the beginning of the season, and just to like I again said, take a step back and get your sea legs, I guess, for lack of a better way to put it.
Mm-hmm.
February, I think, is a great month to just take a step back, reassess. Not so much what you learned from football. It'll be time to look back on what you learned from the NFL and college seasons when you get to August again. I kind of like to let things sit on the back burner and just simmer and not make any immediate knee jerk reactions. Same reason I like to come back around to basketball in February and say, okay, here's where we're at. Here's what I think we've learned about college hoops and the NBA from October, November, when things got started. And now we're in the moment where things really matter. We've got the stretch run and the postseason in both sports ahead of us.
Well, especially because, and I'm guilty of this, like when you jump into college basketball after football and you watch, say you watch Maryland one game and they look phenomenal in that one game. All of a sudden you go to, okay, Maryland's a great team, right? Like you need a larger sample size before you can really assess some of these college basketball teams. And that's hard to do when you're transitioning so quickly from the NFL to March being a month away in the tournament. And you're like, okay, thinking that you saw two really good games from one team. Oh, they're a team I'm going to back in the tournament for sure. No, you need a little bit more of a sample size, pump the brakes, like make notes of what you saw and really liked from them,
Yeah.
and then kind of try and build from there. But don't just assume that because they played Michigan State really tough the other night and lost that they're like a phenomenal team. And I'm just using Maryland as an example. I think they are
Right.
a really good team and will be good in the tournament. But make sure you have a larger sample size going into March, especially college basketball wise.